All right, now the World Health Organization has raised an alarm over the new variant of concern, Omicron. Now the top health body has in fact said global risks related to Omicron is very high. The World Health Organization asserted that depending on the variant's characteristics, there could be a future surge of COVID-19. The top health body added that Omicron could have severe consequences depending on a number of factors, including where surge may take place. Now, according to the WHO, Omicron is highly divergent with a high number of mutations, some of which are concerning and may be associated with immune escape potential and higher transmissibility. However, studies are currently underway to determine if available vaccines are effective against the variant and how transmissible is the variant.
We don't yet know whether Omicron is associated with more transmission, more severe disease, more risk of reinfections, or more risk of evading vaccines. Scientists at WHO and around the world are working urgently to answer these questions. We shouldn't need another wake-up call. We should all be wide awake to the threat of this virus.
Omicron was discovered in South Africa earlier this month. The variant of the coronavirus has already got the world more worried. This variant is believed to be spreading faster than the Delta variant as well. Here's more.
Stock markets plummet. Global economy is in a tailspin. World Health Organization calls it a variant of concern. Countries re-implement travel bans. Scientific community says new strain is horrific. It's happening all over again. A new variant of coronavirus, now named Omicron, has set alarm bells ringing across the world. So, with this bolt from the blue, are we back to square one in our fight against COVID-19? Here's what we know about the new variant, Omicron. B.1.1.529 or Omicron was first identified in South Africa. The World Health Organization has classified it as a variant of concern now. Scientists say the new variant carries a high number of mutations in its spike protein. In the new variant, there were 50 mutations overall, with more than 30 on the spike protein. This is what the World Health Organization has had to say about this variant.
Based upon the information that we have, particularly from South Africa, they have advised WHO that this variant should be classified as a variant of concern. So today we are announcing B.1.1.529 as a variant of concern named Omicron.
Where did it come from? The new strain Omicron, a B.1.1.529, was first identified or detected in South Africa. There have been close to 100 fully confirmed cases in the Gauteng province of South Africa. A theory suggests that this new variant is likely to have evolved during a chronic infection of an immunocompromised person. Is the new variant more lethal then? Researchers are trying to confirm whether the new variant with 50 mutations is more transmissible or lethal. The WHO has called for caution in the initial stages of dealing with this variant. It could affect transmissibility, disease severity, immune escape, diagnostic or therapeutic escape. It can also cause community transmission or clusters. This variant has a large number of mutations, some of which are concerning. Preliminary evidence suggests an increased risk of reinfection with this variant. How many cases of the new variant have been recorded then? Well, there have been 77 fully confirmed cases in the Gauteng province in South Africa. There are indications that show that 90% of cases in Gauteng may already be of this variant. Alarm was also raised after cases recorded in South Africa jumped from 200 to 2,465 within 7 days. The number of cases of this variant appears to be increasing in almost all provinces in South Africa. Researchers are still looking into the data on deaths caused by the variant. The rise comes following weeks of relatively low transmissions. 4 cases have been reported in Botswana and 2 in Hong Kong. Israel and Belgium have also detected cases of the new COVID-19 variant. Will the Omicron variant dodge immunity provided by vaccines is the question that everyone is now asking. Scientists are researching on how effective existing vaccines might just be against this new variant. The WHO has said there is little information on that matter. Breakthrough infections have been reported in South Africa among people who have received the Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer-BioNTech and Oxford's AstraZeneca vaccines. No deaths have been recorded as of yet. The 2 travelers in Hong Kong who tested positive were vaccinated with the Pfizer vaccine. What are the other variants of concern then? The WHO had designated 4 other variants of concern called the Alpha, the Beta, the Gamma and Delta variant. The WHO added variant Omicron as the 5th designated variant of concern on the 26th of November. How is India reacting to it? India has yet to take the extreme step of a travel ban on South Africa or neighbouring countries from where these cases have been reported. The government, meanwhile, has asked states to rigorously screen and test travellers coming from South Africa, Botswana and Hong Kong. With alarm bells raised, several countries have announced travel bans, while others are tightening border controls in what feels like a never-ending battle against COVID-19.
Meanwhile, Omicron is slowly spreading its footprint across the world. Several cases have been reported now from countries like Canada, UK, Belgium, apart from the outbreak in South Africa. Now, the next big question, understandably, is, are COVID vaccines working? Take a look.
Can COVID vaccines fight the new mutant Omicron? Or will vaccines lose their protection? The scientist community is debating the possibilities. The variant Omicron has more than 30 to 50 mutations on its spike protein, and scientists are concerned.
In a single variant, we could notice that there are so many mutations has accumulated. So, and that's how that it has created as first interest and now a concern, because only the spike protein, which has the receptor binding domain RBD, that spike protein itself has almost 32 mutations. It's a cumulative mutations, but in one variant, appearance of so many mutations in one shot definitely triggers a panic button.
Some go as far as to say that this could lead to decreased vaccine efficacy and immune escape.
Since this virus has mainly mutations that are in the spike protein, it will be very interesting to see how this variant performs in people who have received either the Covishield or the Covaxin, because if it is able to evade the spike responses, right, the antibodies against the spike protein, vaccine like the inactivated vaccine may have induced antibodies that could still restrict the replication of the virus.
Not all hope is lost. Experts say it's unlikely that COVID vaccines will become completely redundant.
This is something needs to be experimentally validated before making any comment. But as such, as I was saying that usually that in any vaccines we use multiple epitopes. And rarely all the epitopes can be evaded by the mutant virus. So it is not expected, but definitely needs to be checked. It hasn't come to India yet. But at this moment, it's a matter of concern. Definitely it's a VOC, but there is no reason to panic.
Some evidence suggests that Omicron may develop immune escape capabilities from COVID vaccines. Hence, vaccines may require an upgrade. Therefore, vaccine manufacturers across the world have begun testing this mutant variant in the race to stay a step ahead of the pandemic. Milind Sharma for India Today.
Because now let's listen in to some of the reactions of experts on this new variant.
See, this is something needs to be experimentally validated before making any comment. But as such, as I was saying that usually that in any vaccines we use multiple epitopes, and rarely all the epitopes can be evaded by the mutant virus. So it is not expected, but definitely needs to be checked. It hasn't come to India yet. But at this moment, it's a matter of concern. Definitely it's a VOC, but there is no reason to panic, but we should be careful like any other variant.
A lot may say, many people may say that this is a bit of a knee-jerk reaction, but some countries are already imposing restrictions on travel from these countries where the variant has been found. Do you think it's time for India also do the same? Because better to be safe than be sorry. What do you think?
So when you close borders, how long do you close them for? And how do you make sure that you identify every infection that might potentially come into the country? If we look at the Omicron variant, we know that many people, the people in Hong Kong, for example, were picked up on their second, third, and fourth PCR tests. Now, just testing and tracing is clearly not enough. The incubation period, we say, is 2 to 14 days. But 2 to 14 days is the general distribution of how long it takes for someone to manifest with symptoms. And we have no idea, unless, even if we test everybody who comes in from a foreign country, it's quite possible that we will miss some infection.
All right, let's listen in now to what Dr. Anthony Fauci, the NIH National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Director, has to say on this new variant.
The profile of the mutation strongly suggests that it's going to have an advantage in transmissibility and that it might evade immune protection that you would get, for example, from a monoclonal antibody or from the convalescent serum after a person's been infected, and possibly even against some of the vaccine-induced antibodies. So it's not necessarily that that's going to happen, but it's a strong indication that we really need to be prepared for that. When you diminish or stop or block travel from a particular country, there's a reason for that. It's to give you time to do things. So don't let this decision that was made about blocking the travel from certain countries go without a positive effect. And the positive effect is to get us better prepared, to rev up on the vaccination, to be really ready for something that may not actually be a big deal, but we want to make sure that we're prepared for the worst, and that's what we should be doing.
All right, viewers, amidst the new threat of Omicron, the debate over the need of a booster dose has once again emerged. While top immunologists have suggested the booster dose for the ones with weaker immunity, the government has said that they are still assessing the need for the third dose. Here's more.
Whether we call it a booster or a third dose or a fourth dose, it's very clear that we need to monitor the immune systems of immunocompromised individuals very, very carefully and make sure that they have some level of response to vaccine. We do need specific vaccination strategies, specific management strategies for them, and so far we have not had that.
There is a need and the time is now. That is the word from India's top vaccinologists, doctors, health experts on the third dose or the additional dose for those with poor immunity. At a time when the world has been confronted with the fifth variant of concern, Omicron, there is a growing demand for boosters in India, hoping it would offer further protection to those with compromised immunity. The government has so far said they're studying the need for the additional dose.
We'll continue to explore the timing and the need for the boosters going along. There are studies that are in the offing. There are studies that are ongoing, in fact, and there is data that's very systematically being tracked.
But the world is in a fix, say experts, and we can't wait, as vaccine hesitancy and complacency are also settling in.
There has been a vaccine hesitancy growing over past 1 month, and rather than having at least 1 crore vaccination per day, we are having 50-60 lakh per day. So we need to escalate vaccination. Number 2, we do not know whether this vaccine will protect this variant or not, and therefore we need to have newer research and see that this variant is also covered in the vaccination program.
Urgent need of a third dose, which is now being called as a booster dose, but should be a part of the primary immunization. I think the boosters are extremely important in India. We should have a plan, but the fact is we need to be extremely wary and careful with regards to new mutants.
The focus, however, of the government is on the second dose coverage. The Prime Minister on Saturday took a review meeting in which he took stock of the slow pace of the second dose coverage in India that stands at around 45%.
The National Technical Advisory Group on Immunization is all set to meet towards the end of this month to discuss the need for booster doses for the immunocompromised population in India. A decision is obviously going to be depending on the kind of threat India perceives vis-a-vis the fifth variant of concern. A lot is going to depend on how India is analyzing the situation to protect its immunocompromised population in the light of the World Health Organization identifying the fifth variant of concern. In New Delhi, Sneha Mordani for India Today.